Thanks for visiting my YouTube channel. Today is the third day of the 2024 NBA Cup, or previously known as the NBA in-season tournament, and here are the game result, standings updates, and the game schedule for tomorrow. For the game result for today. In the first game, the Boston Celtics got their third straight win after defeating the Cleveland Cavaliers. The final score is 120-117. Jason Tatum was the top scorer for the Boston Celtics, and made another double-double performance of 33 points with 12 rebounds, followed by Horford and Derrick White added 20 and 19 points. Donovan Mitchell was the top scorer for the Cleveland Cavaliers with 35 points. In the second game, the Brooklyn Nets ended their three-game losing streak after defeating the Charlotte Hornets. The final score is 116-115. Cameron Johnson was the top scorer for the Brooklyn Nets with 34 points, followed by Jalen Wilson and Dorian Finney-Smith added 17 and 15 points. Brandon Miller was the top scorer for the Charlotte Hornets with 29 points. In the third game, the Denver Nuggets ended their two-game losing streak after defeating the Memphis Grizzlies. The final score is 122-110. Jamal Murray was the top scorer for the Denver Nuggets with 27 points, followed by Michael Porter made a double-double performance of 24 points with 10 rebounds, and Christian Braun added 19 points. Santi Aldama was the top scorer for the Memphis Grizzlies, and made a double-double performance of 28 points with 11 rebounds. In the fourth game, the Dallas Mavericks got their third straight win after defeating the New Orleans Pelicans. The final score is 132-91. Luka Doncic was the top scorer for the Dallas Mavericks with 26 points, followed by Klay Thompson and Kyrie Irving added 19 and 18 points. Trey Murphy was the top scorer for the New Orleans Pelicans with 19 points. The San Antonio Spurs ended their two-game losing streak after defeating the Oklahoma City Thunder. The final score is 110-104. Keldon Johnson was the top scorer for the San Antonio Spurs with 22 points, followed by Harrison Barnes scored 20 points, and Chris Paul made a double-double performance of 14 points with 11 assists. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was the top scorer for the Oklahoma City Thunder with 32 points. And the last game, the Los Angeles Lakers got their six-game winning streak after defeating the Utah Jazz. The final score is 124-118. Dalton Knecht was the top scorer for the Lakers with 37 points, followed by LeBron James made a double-double performance of 26 points with 12 assists, and Anthony Davis also made a double-double performance of 26 points with 14 rebounds. Lauri Markkanen was the top scorer for the Utah Jazz with 25 points. And here are standings updates. For the Eastern Conference standings. The number 1 in the standings is Cleveland Cavaliers, with a record of 15 wins and 1 loss. The number 2 in the standings is Boston Celtics, with a record of 12 wins and 3 losses. The number 3 in the standings is Orlando Magic, with a record of 9 wins and 6 losses. The number 4 in the standings is New York Knicks, with a record of 8 wins and 6 losses. The number 5 in the standings is Atlanta Hawks, with a record of 7 wins and 8 losses. The number 6 in the standings is Miami Heat, with a record of 6 wins and 7 losses. The number 7 in the standings is Detroit Pistons, with a record of 7 wins and 9 losses. The number 8 in the standings is Indiana Pacers, with a record of 6 wins and 8 losses. The number 9 and number 10 in the standings is Brooklyn Nets and Chicago Bulls, with a record of 6 wins and 9 losses. The number 11 and number 12 in the standings is Charlotte Hornets and Milwaukee Bucks, with a record of 5 wins and 9 losses. The number 13 in the standings is Toronto Raptors, with a record of 3 wins and 12 losses. The number 14 and number 15 in the standings is Washington Wizards and Philadelphia, with a record of 2 wins and 11 losses. For the Western Conference standings updates. The number 1 in standings is Golden State Warriors, with a record of 10 wins and 3 losses. The number 2 in the standings is Oklahoma City Thunder, with a record of 11 wins and 4 losses. The number 3 in the standings is Los Angeles Lakers, with a record of 10 wins and 4 losses. The number 4 in the standings is Houston Rockets, with a record of 10 wins and 5 losses. The number 5 in standings is Denver Nuggets, with a record of 8 wins and 5 losses. The number 6 in the standings is Phoenix Suns, with a record of 9 wins and 6 losses. The number 7 in the standings is Minnesota Timberwolves, with a record of 8 wins and 6 losses. The number 8 to number 11 in the standings is LA Clippers, Memphis Grizzlies, Dallas Mavericks, and Sacramento Kings, with a record of 8 wins and 7 losses. The number 12 in the standings is San Antonio Spurs, with a record of 7 wins and 8 losses. The number 13 in the standings is Portland Trail Blazers, with a record of 6 wins and 8 losses. The number 14 is New Orleans Pelicans, with a record of 4 wins and 11 losses. And the number 15 in the standings is Utah Jazz, with a record of 11 losses. For the 2024 NBA Cup, or previously known as the NBA In-Season Tournament Standings Updates. For the East Group A, the Orlando Magic and New York Knicks had 2 wins. The Brooklyn Nets had 1 win and 1 loss. And the Philadelphia and Charlotte Hornets had 2 losses. For the East Group B, the Detroit Pistons had 2 wins. The Milwaukee Bucks had 1 win. Miami had 1 win and 1 loss, the Indiana Pacers had 1 loss, and the Toronto Raptors had 2 losses. For the East Group C, the Atlanta Hawks had 2 wins. The Boston Celtics and Cleveland Cavaliers had 1 win and 1 loss, and the Washington Wizards and Chicago Bulls had 1 loss. For the West Group A, the Houston Rockets and Portland had 1 win. The Minnesota Timberwolves had 1 win and 1 loss, and the Sacramento and Clippers had 1 loss. For the West Group B, Los Angeles Lakers had 2 wins, San Antonio, Oklahoma City Thunder, and Phoenix Suns had 1 win and 1 loss, and Utah Jazz had 2 losses. For the West Group C, the Golden State had 2 wins. The Dallas Mavericks, Denver Nuggets, and New Orleans Pelicans had 1 win and 1 loss. And the Memphis Grizzlies had 2 losses. And here are the game schedule for tomorrow, November 21, Thursday morning. Sa unang game, sa alas 8:30, ay ang Milwaukee Bucks versus Chicago Bulls, at ang Cleveland Cavaliers versus New Orleans Pelicans. Sa alas 9, ay ang Oklahoma City Thunder versus Portland Trail Blazers, Memphis Grizzlies versus Philadelphia, at ang Houston Rockets versus Indiana Pacers. Sa alas 11, ay ang Golden State Warriors versus Atlanta Hawks, at ang Phoenix Suns versus New York Knicks. Sa huling game ay ang LA Clippers versus Orlando Magic sa alas 11:30 ng umaga.